A brief timeline of overconsumption and weaponized feminism. This is the first influencer, called Josiah Wedgwood. Known as the father of modern marketing, he profited off his title as Potter to Her Majesty and pushed the idea that owning more was better. Yes, this was his idea. Wedgwood has even been called the Steve Jobs of his time. Although he was unaware of it, Josiah Wedgwood was setting the stage for a future where influence would extend far beyond pottery. Fast forward to 1848, and we find ourselves in New York at the Seneca Falls Convention. This pivotal moment was organized by 5 activists and marked the beginning of the organized women's rights movement, which we now know as feminism. It led to the mainstream questioning of traditional gender roles and paved the way for weaponized feminism, which might be relevant later on. Next, we find stage actress Lily Langtry stepping into the spotlight and becoming a brand ambassador for Pear's soap in 1882. Langtry paved the way as the first celebrity to endorse a product, marking the intertwining of celebrity culture and consumerism, where we begin to see products being associated with idealist celebrity lifestyles. Now we enter the 20th century, where body hair is considered embarrassing, only for women, of course. In 1916, Gillette released this newspaper advert introducing the anti-body hair movement, something which they are profiting off, even today. This shift in beauty standards paved the way for a new era of women's personal hygiene, and was only invented out of a need to sell more of their products to an audience who didn't otherwise need them. Riding the second wave of feminism in the early 70s, Virginia Slims creates slim cigarettes for women only. The adverts repeat the phrase, "You've come a long way, baby," referencing the newfound liberation women were experiencing. Feminism becomes a marketing tool, also known as femvertising, and lays down the foundation for the commodification of female-focused movements. Speaking of women's liberation, the Sex Discrimination Act 1975 saw women allowed access to individual bank accounts. Previously, their husband or father's signature was needed to do so, making this new financial autonomy empowering for women and influencing their purchasing decisions as they spent money which was actually their own. Simultaneously, this was reshaping the consumer market and how companies viewed women's financial power. We enter the early 21st century with the launch of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The Kardashian family, also called the Kardashian-Jenners, held the ultimate influence in a growing social media landscape, setting trends and being part of countless controversial brand deals. This constant promotion of excess materialism made them pioneers of overconsumption to a primarily female audience who may never actually achieve their status. The COVID-19 pandemic saw these modern consumer behaviors disrupted for the first time. 2020 saw familiar physical spaces going into lockdown, causing a massive shift onto online spaces. A focus on self-care led to increased consumption of products, which research shows weren't consumed previous to the pandemic. This is surprising when you consider poverty rates were at an all-time high, and while this was happening, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos became 80% richer than he was pre-pandemic, his wealth increasing by almost £72 billion. The accelerated digitalization of everyday life put an emphasis on digital media, making it much easier for tailored ads to be directly received by the intended audience. Research shows women to be much more likely to respond positively to this style of advertising. As a result, social media has amplified influencer culture and microtrends, especially with the introduction of TikTok Shop in 2023, which directly combines their content with links to products seen in these videos. The majority of ads selling products on the site are user-generated videos by people who receive a commission from every purchase, making this form of advertising extremely subtle in the way it blends in with the usual stream of TikTok videos. This led to an increase in crowdsourced trends, which is reflected in the shift away from extravagant influencers whose lifestyles felt unattainable, and onto a preference for user-generated content makers who feel more authentic and trustworthy while selling the same products and ideals just in a slightly different way. This new wave of influencing remains heavily curated, potentially making it even more harmful as individuals continue to purchase products in search of ever-changing ways of living, which are continually out of reach for the standard consumer. As we reach the present day of this timeline, we see how women navigated a complex interplay of empowerment and exploitation. From challenging beauty norms to facing economic uncertainties, these moments shaped women's narratives. As we reflect, the ongoing conversation is one of resilience, redefinition, and the pursuit of genuine empowerment for all. Thank you for coming along on the journey.